Well, turns out we're gonna need to grow some orange berries in order to heal that milk tank at the Moo Moo farm in order to be able to get Moo Moo milk. So, hey, why not? I'm gonna show you how those pots work. All you do is choose plant berry. You can plant any berry you have, obviously. As for fertilizer, you can buy some. But I'm not going to cover it because I already explained it in Crystal and Platinum, sorry, and I consider it to be a waste of money anyway. Now I'm going to water these. There we go. You can press left or right. Hey, come on, I was pressing right. Come on, water this now. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to be watering these throughout the day, and hopefully I'm going to have more than enough orange berries tomorrow so that I'll be able to heal that milk tank. Okay, so it's a little further into the game, but there's no harm in doing it now. As for berries, there are multiple ways you can find them. You can win them at the lottery in Goldenrod. The type resist berries, if you allow your mom to keep some of your money, sometimes she'll buy one for you. You can also trade shards for some berries or jugglers throughout the game to do this. There are a couple of other ways, but these are the ones I can remember off the top of my head, just because they're not found the traditional way, you know, like in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. That does not mean that there are no berries in this game. You just have to look a little harder. Anyway, on that note, this is my third take of this video, because the game crashed on me the first two times, so hopefully it's gonna work this time. If you're seeing this, then that's because it did, obviously. And what I said in the first take about this fight is that, well, I definitely didn't remember that fight. It started you off against a Clefable and a Wigglytuff in doubles, no less. And there's another one of each kind waiting in the wings as well, so I didn't remember that. And I can guarantee you that it is not in Gold, Silver, Crystal, which probably is why I didn't remember it in the first place. Because, well, it pits you against two Clefables and two Wigglytuffs. You'd think you'd remember that kind of fight this early in the game. And besides, doubles didn't even exist in Generation 2, so that's a moot point anyway. By the way, something that I wanted to talk about, remember very early in my Platinum LP, when there was this whole thing about whether, you know, I was unsure on whether Barry's Chimchar had Ember in the second fight on Route 203, and I checked multiple LPs, and none of them had the Chimchar using Ember, so I just assumed, you know, Bulbagarden's wrong, and that Chimchar doesn't have Ember. And recently, Cerebi updated his Sinnoh Poker to have it match the Unova one, and I took a look at that fight, and my god, is the data messed. For example, his Starly in all three variations of the fight. That Starly has Quick Attack twice and Growl twice. In the Turtwig variation, Turtwig has Withdraw twice, Piplup has Growl twice, and Chimchar is listed as having Ember, even though, to my knowledge, no one's ever seen it use that move. So, yeah, really messed. So, there's only one conclusion to draw. The game is actually sentient, and that fight refuses to be hacked into. Anyway, now we made it to Ecruteak. First saw the Pokemon Center, where we encountered this guy, Bill, who's the one who designed the Pokemon storage system. When you got to that point in Gold, Silver, Crystal, it unlocked the Time Machine, which allowed you to trade with Generation 1 games, but here, I don't think it actually activates anything. It's just so that you're introduced to Bill, just like old times, and he's talking about how Lanet from Hoenn improved the PC system a lot. It's been a lot more user-friendly ever since Generation 3. He's got a point there. Now, as for Ecruteak City, you might remember that song for both Ecruteak and Cinewood in Gold, Silver, Crystal. However, in this game, there are two different remixes of that song for each of the towns, which makes a lot of sense, as we're going to hear later on, because the towns don't have the same feel whatsoever. Ecruteak is a sort of really old town, very attached to the past. As you can see, it even got the same Pokemon Center design as in Violet City. But before we move on with our visit of this city, we're just gonna head on to Route 42 for a very, very, very quick dip. You may be wondering why we're doing that. Well, it's going to be very obvious in a matter of seconds. It's because, if you remember in Gold, Silver, Crystal, you got the Strength HM at Olivine, as I find Shadow Claw TM, which, well, it's good, but I'm not planning on using it. But anyway, the real reason is that this guy here, he is the one who gives you the Strength HM. Now, you get it a lot earlier if you just bother coming here when you first get to Ecruteak. Please don't cry. You just ran into me. That's nothing serious. Who do you think I am, Tidus? But anyway, now I got the Strength HM in hand, which is good. I even have the right to use it because Whitney's the one who gives you the right to use the Strength HM once you've gotten her badge. The only problem, though, is that an unevolved Sandtret cannot use it. I absolutely need to evolve it into Furret, and that's going to need to be soon because I'm going to start encountering boulders very soon. Okay, so we got netballs. We're starting to get decent types of non-traditional balls. Here we got crap ton of items in case you ever need them. But yeah, Ecruteak is a very, very beautiful town. You saw the outside. I'm going to show you the inside of the houses later on. But the best part is the path that leads to the bell tower, which unfortunately we can't get to right now, but we're going to be covering this later on in the LP. So, next door to the Pokemart, there's the Dance Theater, which is, once again, very, very different from Gold, Silver, Crystal. Back then, you defeated all 5 Kimono Girls at this point of the game, and if you beat them all, you get the Surf HM. However, as you can see, it's very different now. There's only 1 Kimono Girl, and that Rocket Grunt is harassing her. So instead of beating 5 Kimono Girls with level 17 Eeveelutions, we're going to be beating a much weaker Rocket Grunt. And by the way, main difference is that, yes, we're gonna fight the Kimono Girls in this game, but only much, much, much later on, and you gotta beat them all with the same lead. You can't change lead between the battles, so that part where you fight the Kimono Girls is widely considered to be one of the hardest parts in the entire game. But for now, as I said, all I have to do is beat 1 weak Rocket Grunt, and I'm done with this. Anyway, let's go rescue this Kimono Girl, who's the 3rd one that we meet. The first one we encountered in Violet City, and the 2nd one we met in... It was the one that was lost in Ilex Forest. So, yeah, as I said, only guy this guy has is a level 12 Koffing. If you remember, Proton... I think Proton had an identical Koffing and something else. So we're fighting a Grunt that's even weaker than an Executive that we fought a long time ago. So, as I said, much easier than in the originals. However, that only means that the difficulty has been delayed and then increased some, because as I said, when I'm going to fight the Kimono Girls in this LP, I'm not going to be able to change my lead, which you were able to in Gold, Silver, Crystal. So, let's just talk to her, even though I don't think she's the one who gives me the Surf HM, it's the old man over there. By the way, that old man, I remember it because it was just so ridiculous. The old man who gives me the Surf HM, he used to have a Rhydon in the originals, but now it's been changed for a Psyduck. I don't know why they gave him a Rhydon in the originals, because he says that he uses his Rhydon to surf, but I guess it's only to... I don't know, maybe it was just for comic relief or something like that, or to teach you that Rhydon can indeed learn Surf for whatever reason. But a Psyduck makes a lot more sense. and yeah, their skill at Pokemon, but yeah, he says they battle only for good reasons, which is supposed to be the excuse for why she didn't just open a can of whoop-ass on that rocket grunt. But seriously, isn't borderline sexual harassment enough of a good cause for you to just send out your Pokemon and annihilate that stupid Koffing? Really? Well, that's Japan for you. Anyway, there's still one building on the eastern side of town that we haven't checked out yet, which is a building that, I don't know, you could say it protects the bell tower or something, because you gotta go through that building to get to the bell tower, but that's something we can't do right now, because bell tower is the abode of Who, and obviously it's far too early for the game to hand us an Uber like that. So, yeah, basically, if Morty couldn't do it, we really don't have much of a chance right now. Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. So, we're only going to be able to come back later. Ugh. Fricking phone calls. And now that you are the one who's supposed to call them for rematches, it only makes those random phone calls even more useless. Well, except for the ones who give you items, but that's only once in a blue moon. But speaking of Who, as for the town itself, it's the token, town where legends are passed down and stuff, such as, Celestic and Sinnoh, and I guess Opalucid would fill that role in Unova, despite, how futuristically advanced it looks in white, but in black, sorry. And since I have white, it looks like a more, natural town, a lot closer to this. And yeah, as I said, it's full of legends. For example, you got the 3 legendary dogs that sleep at the end of the burned tower, which used to be called the Tin Tower was the one with Who, but it's been renamed the Bell Tower in the remake. I'm getting really confused here. Hang on a second. The Bell Tower was called the Tin Tower in the originals, and the burnt tower used to be called the Brass Tower before it burned down and became known as the Burnt Tower. Yeah, that's it. Don't you think that's enough tower names? God. Anyway, this guy here is talking to us about, I was about to say Who, since, Who has a close connection to this town, and Lugia's in the Whirl Islands, but if he said that it looked like a bird and a dragon, well, Lugia's sort of closer to looking like a dragon than Who was, so was it Lugia or was it Who? No idea. Absolutely no freaking idea. Anyway, this house here, I think I remember it. There's this guy here who's got a book that tells about the legends of Ecruteak. I think it's the part where... oh, hold on a second, because it looks like he's about to give me something, and I don't really remember what. Oh, it's the dowsing machine. So, basically it's something we're not really going to be covering in much detail, because it's nowhere near as convenient as the one in black and white. So, all those hidden items throughout the game, they can just screw themselves. I'm not going to be covering this, no matter how much you people beg for it. Anyway, that book, I think it's about how the Brass Tower burned down and the legendary dogs were inside, so they died, but Who came along and revived them. And, oh yeah, by the way, the Brass Tower, as they just said, was the roost of Lugia, but when it burned down, Lugia just went to start over in the Whirl Islands. But, yeah, basically this chapter is about the legendary dogs. Water, lightning, and fire fits the description perfectly. They could not contain their power. Yeah, basically this is a hint of, how you're going to find the 3 legendary dogs running around all over the place. Raikou and Entei are runners, whereas Suicune, well, you're going to be meeting it a few times throughout the game, but you can only catch it much, much, much later. So, we're going to end things off here for today. Next time, we're going to enter the Burn/Brass Tower and hopefully make it to the legendary dogs themselves.